Just screwing with the wrong people.
Stranger danger.
Alright, that's your introduction. Because, yes, Jack's back. Last week he wasn't, but yeah, you're back for doing things and stuff.
Back in action.
Dude, don't kick that. It's gonna freaking destroy.
Destroy.
But, so this is the vlog review for episode 2 called Strangers, because I just looked it up. I remember I sometimes came unprepared to these and was like, oh, what's the name of that episode? And I'm like, okay, now I know the name of it.
We know.
It's Strangers, episode 2, and...
Stranger.
There's a lot of talking in the beginning of this episode, then towards the end it was like, oh.
A lot of action, yeah.
So that just happened.
Yeah. that most certainly happened.
They're still keeping I think they're still keeping the pace pretty good. I mean, obviously episode 1 was like fucking like a blitzkrieg. We can talk a little bit about that because, you know, I did on my own last week, but we can talk a little bit about just how insane episode 1 was, which No Sanctuary, which was basically their whole goddamn business operation going up in fucking flames. Terminus.
It was kind of weird because, like, I want to talk a little bit about episode 2 now, but, like, Gareth in the end was like, you took our home, which is a weird parallel to Rick, because he was always like, they took our home away from us, they have to pay. So he's kind of like the same mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I think even when season 4 ended, they had a lot of comparisons. Scott Gimple even said that Gareth and Rick are very similar, actually.
They're very driven.
Yeah, because they always do things just for, like, you know, you have to do things. Yeah, benefit of the group, for themselves, things they have to do. And that seems what Rick's like, you gotta, like he said, he had that little speech to Carl. Like, you know, you're not safe even if you think you're safe. Like, you know, we gotta stick together.
No.
Like, they had that great example. You know, they almost had this little cookout when they found all that food.
Yeah.
And so, but it's almost that reminder, like, you know, you're not safe. And, you know, Bob was stupid and fucking walked outside the church and, you know.
Well, I mean, that's a whole, we don't know yet if, because they're, like you said, with the comics, they're drawing kind of parallels with Dale, how he was...
Yeah,
the
so
first
this
person
is...
to be
Yeah,
eaten.
I put spoilers in the description so everyone knows full well. But basically, if you read the comics, I didn't really read them. Like, I kind of just look up, like, what happens in them, just briefly, you know, go over and stuff. But in the comics, yes, the lovely Dale, who died in season 2, only because the actor didn't want to be on the show anymore because the original director was taken off and they were friends and blah, blah, blah. So, but... Yeah, Dale was killed off in season 2. However, in the comics, he's not killed off. He's kept around until, like, now. And so what happens is the hunters capture Dale, and they cut off his legs. And what happens is Dale's laughing because he was, like, he got, like, attacked by a walker. And so he's infected. And so, as they're eating him... Basically, he's laughing like, oh, ha, 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 you're eating tainted meat. Good job, you idiots. And then when he tells them that, they try to spit it up, and then they, you know, they punch him and stuff, and they beat the hell out of him and stuff, and then Rick finds him later in the comics. Obviously, Bob didn't tell them. I mean, I think
he was acting really strange. Like,
that
well, that whole thing in the basement of the thrift shop where they're in the water, and dude, it's like bubbling up. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna walk over here and pick some shit up. The zombie comes out. I'm pretty sure, like...
Yeah, like, the thing is with this show, like, you have to be very careful how you do your screen time. And the fact that they had a scene reserved just for him getting pulled underwater, ambiguous. They killed the walker, but it's just...
Like, he might have got scratched or something. Like, because, like, at the end, like, you know, he kissed her... Was that Tasha?
Yeah, Sasha, yeah.
Sasha.
And he
kissed her again, and he's like, oh, okay.
He's like, I want another, like, kind of, like, knowing, like, yeah, I think he was just...
And then he just wandered off, like, he was kind of, like, moping around, and he was, like, you know, he was kind of watching them from afar, and, like...
And there was also a lot of focus on him, like, also, because he had that conversation with Rick, like, oh, we can go back to how, you know, like, oh, this is just a nightmare, and blah. So I have a feeling that he got bit by that walker, and that all of them ate that tainted meat, and that's gonna come into play at some point later. They're gonna be like, all of a sudden walkers. They're gonna be feeling the effects because you know, like, you get a fever first.
Slowly,
yeah, you get a fever. So I think over time they're gonna start getting like fucking sick as shit.
Oh, that might be interesting though, because they haven't had someone die from that in that way since like episode 1, like when that woman like died right in front of them. Andrea's sister or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and she was
and then Morgan explains how it happened to his wife, how she had the fever, and then she just, you know, fucking turned and stuff. So, but yeah, it happened the same way in the comics. He loses his legs, and then Bob loses his legs here too. So it's I don't know, it's a very Bob's Burgers. Better go back to Bob's Burgers. So yeah, I mean, and then in the preview they're like, oh, there's 3 of us are gone. gonna assume that the other two people they're talking about is Daryl and Carol after they saw.
Because they, of course, they threw in the teaser with Beth because they saw randomly that car was driving down the road, and Carol, she was just about to leave. Because I was wondering what she was doing in the
I don't know
trunk.
why she feels like she doesn't belong in the group. I guess she still feels all of this regret, even though she took down Terminus and saved all their lives. Right. She still feels regret about, even though, and she told Tyrese, like, she still feels like she doesn't belong, and it's kind of weird. I mean,
you kind of saw, like, she had a really guilty expression when they're, doing the blessing for the dinner, and they're talking about, like, how all you people are survivors and you're good people, and, you're a family and you work together. She was looking out the door. She was like, I'm kind of a terrible person.
There were multiple times during this episode where she wouldn't tell Derek. Like, he's like, I don't want to talk about it. He was trying to, I don't know if he was trying to ask her about the girls that died or if she told Tyrese about what she did at the prison.
Kind of a little bit of both.
Because they never got to say goodbye. Because Rick just sent her on his way, and Daryl's like, we didn't even get to say goodbye to her and stuff. And I think he wanted to know, like, what happened back there kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that was the thing with that. I guess they answered the question because it was kind of ambiguous if Rick was... Because remember, he's like, I'm not even sure if I want to go to Washington. And then
the
after,
baby was like, like, you heard that?
Yeah.
The baby said yes.
Wait a minute. It's like in Sesame Street. What'd they say? Oh, yes, that means we're doing it.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, so... That was funny, yeah. That's good that they... It's almost like kind of like a relief when you see the baby. It's like, aw, and then it's like Walker's just like, oh my god. So yeah, basically. But yeah, so it's confirmed, I guess, now... that Rick does want to go on. I mean, it was obvious because that's the way it goes, and I'm not obviously, but they even said for this season that they're going more by the comic. It's the
logical thing to do. I mean, like, they brought it up. It's like, you guys are good at surviving. You know what you're doing. You're a strong group, but is that really what you want to do every single day?
Yeah, like you can save the world.
Knowing that there's a possibility of fixing all of it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically, and it makes sense because. And they keep alluding to the new Alexandria safe zone, which they don't know about. In the comics, they go to DC. DC's overrun. And
then it's going to be like Atlanta. Like, a giant city is obviously going to be overrun.
The safe zone is, like, right next to DC, and they find it. And it's, like, being held by, like it's kind of like the U.S. military. It's, like, this big... It's really big, and it's this big... It's, like, these houses and houses, and so... I mean, but they eventually get to that and stuff, and so...
and stuff.
Yeah, and then they trade with different people, and they actually, I think the thing is, they hire groups of people to protect them outside the boundaries, and one of the groups they hire is Negan and his saviors, and then the Negan's like, wait a minute, I'm tired of fucking doing this, and he turns on the things that I want control now. That's basically what happens in the comics. I don't know if they'll do it the same way.
We'll find all that out. And eventually.
Yeah, probably. But we're going to have to get past the Gareth thing right now. Yeah. Then obviously he wants... I mean, I don't know if... he said, he's like, it's not personal.
It's not personal.
I just want to eat, and I'm a hunter. I didn't have my...
It's not personal, but it is personal, because you blew up my home, so yeah.
Can you imagine? There should have been a scene where he sees the sign that says no sanctuary. You should be like, that motherfucker.
He spray painted my
sign. He's like, God damn it. He's graffiti on my sign, Rick, you bastard.
You bastard.
Oh my god, yeah, and then there's also the ambiguous thing of how far from when Rick painted that over the sign did Morgan show up?
Right. If that was like a really long time after, or
because last week on Talking Dead, Scott Gimple said that was a long period of time. He said, "Oh, that was like a while after all that shit." Which makes sense
because he probably wouldn't be walking around right after that happened.
Yeah, but it does say that he's been tracking Rick and he's trying to find him for whatever reason and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know.
You're thinking about Michonne's sword too, like possibly.
Yeah,
they've been showing her like in the previews with having it, so maybe Gareth is chopping people apart with it.
Yeah, that was what something I almost forgot about that. Rick asked that, and again, you always have to think of how you use your airtime. This is especially true of Breaking Bad, which I had the chance to watch entirely this past summer and stuff. Basically, they took the time for Rick to ask Michonne, oh, do you miss your sword? And she kind of goes into this thing, I miss people, not my weapons, or from my past, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's nice. But that's the one weapon. Like, everyone, like, what's his name had the crossbow. That was his main weapon. And obviously he has that
Daryl Dixon.
Back. Yeah, Daryl's
Bowman's
crossbow.
Bowman.
Bowman's Bowman. I miss Bowman, honestly. But,
Bowman.
The sword is the one, like, that was Michonne's signature.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't in that back room. And I don't think, if you go back, I don't think it was there. And Carol would have known.
Because she did go back to that room, and she picked up Daryl's crossbow. So, I mean, it's not like... I don't think that, they're doing a poll on pudding.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she would have grabbed it. So
Yeah, so I
I
think
don't know where would have been.
I don't know. My guess is that the Terminus people took it because they're like, "Oh, this is a
This is a nice sword."
Yeah, dude, like a samurai sword is
Yeah.
like the sharpest sword
she
ever.
still hasn't explained. She was kind of talking about it this episode, but she still hasn't explained it where she found it because she was like, "Oh
She
yeah,
stole it, but there was that flashback last season when she had it in her house.
she's had it, but she's never. We haven't figured out.
She had it in her house with her kid and those two guys.
I know, but this
yeah.
episode, she was like, when Rick asked her, like, how'd you get so good? She's like, oh no, I just, I found it along my way, and I killed so many zombies with it. I got really good at it. So
Yeah, so
we still don't know. Like, who knows? She killed some samurai for it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm thinking they're using that sword to fucking because in the trailer preview, she has it, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna get it back somehow. I'm assuming they're gonna track down Gareth, or Gareth's gonna come to them. I don't know. There's some bullshit's gonna happen. I'm not sure what's really gonna happen, honestly, but we do know Beth is alive. I mean, the trailer, the walking trailer.
It was weird when they when Carol first found the car with Daryl, and was like, she looked in the trunk and she turned on that battery charger and she just left it. I'm like, why is she doing that? And it's like, obviously because she kind of was planning it out. She's like, I'm gonna come back here and just leave because she was charging the battery so the car could start.
Yeah, and the one other character, Father Gabriel.
I mean, I think the whole thing with Father Gabriel, like Rick's obsessed with finding out like what he's hiding, and like they found that Carl found that. Carl, he found the scribbling on the the knife engraving on the side of the church. Is like, you're gonna burn in hell for this. And I think what he did is simply he just locked, like when shit went down, he locked all of the town out of his church. Yeah, like, I don't think he directly killed anyone, but he like locked them out and kept the food for himself.
So when they found that church, I was thinking that Father Gabriel's the one who took Beth.
Right.
But then obviously the car drove by and Father Gabriel was in the church.
It was so random. That scene looked exactly the same as when Daryl watched.
Dude, it's the same video.
It kind of looked the same.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the car was driving fast, but basically,
who are the like? I don't know how. He's driving around in fucking circle. He's driving. Whee! He saw the prison. Oh, it's on fire. He saw Terminus. Oh, it's on fire.
It's Jesse Pinkman. He's been driving nonstop ever since he left the fucking Nazis' place in Breaking Bad. He's been driving nonstop.
Oh my, picked up a hot chick on the way.
Yeah, he's like, yo, bitch, you're gonna be my bitch. Yeah, so
I got all this money, bitch.
But I do find it ironic that they introduced that church, that cross thing, which is associated with a church, in the same episode we first see this church and this priest. It's very ironic that these two things happen in the same episode. We don't know if Father Gabriel has something to do with this, but I don't know, maybe this guy is capturing people and bringing them somewhere safer, because that thing in the trailer was, oh, you're part of a system. I don't even know where Beth could fucking be. I don't know. Some people were like, oh, maybe she's already in Washington, D.C. I'm like, I mean, that guy seems local in this episode. I don't think he's Georgia to fucking Virginia. I mean, I don't know if anyone knows that drive, but especially with zombies and shit and cars and roadblocks in the way, so... Yeah. But, yeah, so my rating for this episode, I'll give it a 9. I gave it pretty high. I gave it like a 9.5 or 9.7 last week just because of how explosively awesome.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was the first, intro. It broke records.
Oh my
like,
God.
17.5
million it like rivaled like some football things that were going on. I was like, holy fuck.
I think it broke records for like cable television. I don't know what it did, but like that was a good. I mean, I didn't do a review with you, but I would give it a similar like 9.5, 9.6. It was a really good episode, but this one. I mean, it's obviously a little bit slower paced, but definitely a 9. So, really solid.
Yeah, I get that.
We're gonna find out how far, because like with the teasers at the end, like Rick is pissed obviously that 3 people are missing,
and he trusts nobody.
He trusts nobody, and he's like,
Father
Gabriel,
you know what the unfortunate thing is? He doesn't. I mean, I'm sure in his mind, you know what? I'm sure Rick's pissed because remember he said, "Go along the thing and use the rifles to finish off the Terminus people." And they didn't do it. He's probably like, you idiots, I told you to finish them off.
I mean, they really could have stopped
this. Like, that's his thing. He says no loose ends, and that was a loose end. They got, and Maggie's like, oh, they'll run or they'll die. And they're like, well, if they were that...
now they're eating Bob.
If they had the ability to take back Terminus and organize that whole thing...
Well, I don't think it would have been worth it to organize it or take it back, because it would have been too much like the prison. But just like you said, taking care of loose ends just so that they wouldn't follow them.
Yeah, he's gonna be angry. But the thing is, I feel for episode 3, they're gonna realize Bob's gone, and then obviously don't know where Carol and Daryl are, and Rick's gonna blame Father Gabriel.
Yeah, he's gonna.
And this guy seems like, I don't want to get on his good side because in case he turns bad, but he seems like a poor guy. Like he lost.
He's obviously
the
done,
lady,
like,
the lady with the glasses. He knew her because it was a picture of him at the end. Like I was like,
he's obviously done something regretful, but I don't think he's a bad character. Like he's not like gonna hurt them purposely.
yeah, I feel like he's just a coward. Like he just kind of headbutt. He's been in there for so. And I think he's
like my prediction that he just locked people out and let them die. That's probably. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, how ironic that he's outside for the first time when Rick finally brings out a terminus.
Help me!
Maybe he was looking for more food. I have no idea. But all right, so we'll be back next Sunday for episode 3, and maybe we'll see what happens to Bob's Burgers and get it, Bob's Burgers, because they're eating them. Get that joke.
No,
I'm gonna put that as an image.
He's tastier than they thought they would be.
I'm gonna put that for the image overlay for this video. Bob's Burgers.
That was so. How long? Like, did they fucking drug him up or something? Because he's sitting there talking to him, Gareth.
I feel like he would have been
5 minutes, and then the camera zooms out, and as soon as the camera zooms out, he looks down. And he's like, "Oh fuck, my leg's gone."
No, but I think he did, because remember when the show came back and it was kind of like all fuzzy. Like I feel like they knocked him out or drugged him, and then he gets up. Oh, no legs.
Yeah, that's really gross. And he's looking around, everyone's just chewing.
That also confirms they're gonna kill him off really soon, because a character with no legs, you're gonna put him in a wheelchair and push him down the fucking road?
Yeah, it was kind of ironic, because I was talking to you like, during the episode when they were walking through the town with Father Gabriel, and I'm like, yeah, I have a feeling that he's gonna be the first one to go. I don't know.
Yeah, like as
especially when he was talking to Rick about, you gotta change your ways, Rick. This isn't the real world. This is just a nightmare. It's gonna change. It's gonna end when we get to DC, and it's gonna get better. And Rick's like, no, this is the real world. We do or die.
How the hell did Gareth and all of his friends track them there? How many are left? How many Terminus survivors are left? Because they took out a lot of them.
I mean, it looked like 5 or 6 in that group. Who knows? I mean, did they say that guy's alive?
Well, in the comics, the Hunters are a small group to start out with. They're only like a group of 6. So I feel like they're like, all right, the Terminus, it's a bigger group. Now we can cut them down to where we can follow the track of the comic series. Now, maybe I'm assuming that's
right.
What was your question earlier?
Whether that guy that Tyrese was beating the shit out of
he killed him.
Yeah.
No, remember he said he's dead. Remember when he's like, Carol was gonna go kill him. He said, no, he's dead. I killed him.
He's gone.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of him. He's like,
I won't.
Yeah. So, all right. See you next week. We'll go watch fucking Chris Hardon-Wick fucking shitty titties, because that's on right now.
Dude, right now he has a black eye. Like seriously,
yeah.
Looks like he got punched in the face.
He got punched by Bowman, because Bowman's like, I'm not on the show anymore.
Bowman's Bowman.
Yep. Anyway, yeah.
Right. Sauce.
Bye, Bowman.